This is the It's.OnlyBasketball Podcast where we only talk about basketball, and this is part three of episode three of our podcast. Um, I'm your host, Love of the Game. You can follow me on Instagram at Love of the G, TikTok Love of the G1. We have a new website um, filled with background information about myself. It'll have blogs, updates, and news about what we have going on within the community of Indianapolis, Indiana. Uh, you know, we just had our first press release as well. That's demonstrating that launching of the website and what it contains. Um, and so, big ups to us. We're coming a long way. Started this thing 3 years ago. And I'm just making strides in progress. Next steps is LLC. Hey, let's get it. But this part of the episode, I want to talk about more so transition as I was speaking on superstars to more so now. We're talking about who's on what level, who is where, how can you compare the two, and the two names that I want to bring up is Bradley Beal and Paul George. I heard a nice conversation with um, Paul Pierce and KG, kind of trying to measure out, you know, Paul George and Bradley Beal. And so, are they on the same tier? Who's better with what? Arguments presented was um, that since they really haven't had much playoff success and they really haven't had, what's it called, any highly notable individual accolades like an MVP, or say like a Defensive Player of the Year, like those kind of awards. It was kind of like, who would you pick between the two? Who's better? You can't just say this team is outright better because there's a three-headed snake with Bradley Beal, but then you got Paul George, and Bradley Beal could be on Paul George's level. So I'm more so here to give my take on that. And in my opinion, um, it's not really hard to say. I think if you want to just look at the offensive side of the basketball, that's where most of your argument would be had between how close are they as individual talents, because they do almost the exact same thing offensively. They bring almost the exact same thing offensively, bro. Like, and I got tons of Bradley Beal and Paul George footage. So what we're gonna do is kind of look at their games, their offensive games, that is, right? Because this is where I'm gonna look at the argument through a different lens. So first, I'll do um, Paul George. You know, so you can see how they kind of score in the same ways. See the offensive kind of caliber talent, the smoothness of their games, the moves that they decide to use to create separation. To me, is fairly similar. They love to ISO. They love and they can dribble the rock. You know. So see here, PG should be in this mug. Here we go. Some Paul George. Right here, that MVP season in 2019.
When Barbara switched to TurboTax,
I broke 4 generations of family tradition. Ma, I want to make perfume.
I think with Bradley Beal.
So I made Barbara's new psychic account.
Since you have what's it called?
Counted.
Since you have KD and Book, you have to get the third worst defender, or like their third best defender, and they have to let you go out the 1-on-1 because they don't want Book or Kevin Durant to go off. And to me, Bradley Beal is like hyper efficient. Like, I'm watching the game, he has 25, shooting at 11 for 16, but it didn't even look like he missed. And he just dancing on everybody, just cooling, collected, tap, 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 step, float, get into the rim. right? And I think that's also a smart decision on his part because they all work in the mid range and they all could shoot threes. But because you have such spacing, I think utilize that aspect of your game going downhill is the best thing you can do because you have to show how you're bringing something different to the table instead of I'm the shorter and smaller version of the other two players you have on the team, which gives you an elite offense, but doesn't show how you're valuable, right? But if I can demonstrate that my game isn't just predicated on what they're able to do, it's not just predicated on isolation. I can put on many hats to score because I'm that guy. He did average 30. And I think that suits well when you're trying to show your value and you're trying to do contract negotiation, etc. But we're gonna get into this Paul George. Just
the lob it to DeAndre Ayton. It got sniffed out by Adams.
And a lot of white shirts were around that play as they read it.
George on fire here in the first half with 18.
You're happy with this because, the offense is working. The defense is making things happen. But boy, look at this here. 3 white shirts.
Off the backboard. And Graham with the exclamation point. Nicely done by Dennis Schroeder. Now Adams getting back. Here come the Thunder with numbers. Schroeder drops it off. George elevates and detonates here in Oklahoma City.
Oh, you picked up on that.
Yeah. Just didn't have time. George got fouled. Count it. Paul George for the possible 4-point play.
Oh, you picked up on that.
Just didn't have time. George got fouled. Count it. Paul George for the possible 4-point play. Knox. Hazonia got the loose ball, but it was knocked away by Ferguson. They hit ahead to Patterson. The lob. George. Oh, what a play. Patterson, the feed was impeccable.
Stay there. Don't move until the shot actually hits the rim. And he might not think it doesn't mean much, but it really does. You're up there watching and he's laying it in.
Nothing slithery about that. Just lightning quick hands from Jackson. But then it's smothered on the other end. Defensive Jim.
Yeah, not a good decision there. Going mid-range, I like that for him. So, great execution.
5 straight games of 20 or more from T.J. Warren. Count the hoop.
Paulie Stein blocked and a jump ball. Paulie Stein with the rejection from the Thunder. But that's the way I'm going to play this. Unless it's a 3 like that. And again, you got to tip your hat. That's all you can do. Yes. I mean, that's a hell of a shot.
I just want to win. I'm happy to come off the bench. Well, maybe happy is a strong word, but he was willing. He was willing. As George gets it, and he'll go to the line for a 3-point opportunity. Durant.
Effortless the way that they're dribbling. It's so smooth, put together. Nothing is forced. You know what I mean? Get to where my spot is and just raise up. Here we go. Some more film of Paul George, if you will.
Business owners, do you want a zero-effort way to consistently create engaging content? Well, all you have to do is hit record on Riverside during your regular meetings and let AI create viral social clips for you. Running a business is a full-time job.
Another beauty. Paul George for 3. Yes.
Kyle Lowry being a little more of a distributor this year, I think is a healthier mix for them.
Paul George. Miami again down by 19. 8:27 left. George. Oh, the Heat are down by 20. Paul George. Another one. He has just set a new career high.
What I will say in watching some of this film, I've never seen Bradley Beal come off as many screens as Paul George has been, right? I think that means, I'll explain it like this. I think the difference in situations that the two of them had them have to put on different hats and aspects of their game. But why I say they're so similar is their smoothness and ability to create off of that dribble. And that's part of the big staples of both of their offensive games. And what was hindering the Clippers, how this season where they would, again, Thinking Basketball Podcast. I'm watching it. I'm trying to see, they really break down the analytics of the game. But it's also like some simple stuff. The sets that the Clippers would run would allow Paul George to be open just like these here. But how he's right here shooting without hesitation. A lot of times the Clippers were putting the ball on the ground and dribbling, taking 1, 2, 3 extra dribbles before actually getting a shot off, which would then cause it to be now a forced shot and not the shot we were trying to get out of the possession. Watch
10 triples in 15 attempts for Paul George.
But what does he want to be remembered as a professional player? That's astounding. Of course, someone of his talent is going to...
That kind of ability to attack space.
In 15 attempts for Paul George.
But what does he want to be remembered as a professional player? That's astounding. Of course, someone of his...
Right. This is exactly like Bradley Beal to me.
Talent's going to, as George takes it and dunks it.
Mike, because obviously sometimes when people foul, they don't have an intent to foul.
Yeah, that season was this is the best offensive Paul George. Right. But now, switch over. You know what I'm saying? And again, these playlists, I have made them public, but these playlists are more so for me. Ignore this. They're more so for me as I'm trying to study and get better at the game. Again, you see mid post. I know these players play out of the mid post, so I put those players in that category if I didn't want to make a full-out individual playlist for them. Right, so I have a point guards playlist that has a lot of PGs like Trae Young, Shea, etc. If I can find it. I feel like I passed it already. Defense, mid post. There it is. Right, I get to this one right here. Yeah, you see the hours and hours of film though. That ain't supposed to be there. Got EG on here. I don't discriminate. These are some overseas guys like Pierre Jackson, Jerome Randall. They're my height, so I like watching to see how they're able to score. I know they can do it at any level. DG, pick and rolls, everything is something slight. I'm trying to see if I got any more Bradley Beal. Here it is right here. Got Donovan Mitchell. Bust anybody hit. Pulse. Yeah, I'm going to pick this one right here, though. I think Brad averaged 30 twice.
Looking for an easy way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brand. You just go to their site, enter your LLC state, add your business name.
All you need is a 2.
Oh, he's
Here's
open.
Troy Brown Jr. finding Beal. Beal puts it up and in! And the Wizards take the lead. There is still time on the clock. Brown Jr., the cut by Beal.
And the screen by Mo Wagner. And the pass. And hold on. Coach Brooks, great play.
Great play. Bertans to Beal. 5 seconds. Beal, crossover in the paint. Step back for the win. Got it! 5/10 of a second remaining.
That's smooth.
Got it! 5/10 of a... Beal, 5 seconds. Beal, crossover in the paint. Step back for the win. Got it! 5/10 of a second remaining.
I told you. Credit the Bulls doing a good job not letting Brad get it on the first round, but great job by Brad on the step back.
Bonga in the corner. Beal all the way to the hoop for the monster dunk.
Oh my God. No, it's not Sunday, but Andre Drummond just got baptized. I mean, check this out, Brad. Wow. And he's letting you know right there.
Deal against Leonard. Crosses him over like he did to Andre Drummond.
Testing that injury in Miami. So like he had him on ice skates. Miles Leonard, the rat back.
I want my music to unify people.
Gotta get the picture. That game and go was crucial. But all I'm simply saying is when it comes to the offensive side of the basketball of Bradley Beal and Paul George, they are highly skilled players. They're able to score the ball in any position that they feel. Bradley Beal averaged 30 in this league. Paul George over 28 in this league, which is almost a wash. Right? Even if you look at numbers, Paul George, for a while, they were kind of similar players in that respect too, having similar stages, right? 8-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA. He's that ball for real. Just into that difference, right? See for yourself. 22-point per game score, 24, 22, 28, 21, 21, 24, 23. So he's been consistent. Majority of his career, right? CDs, pretty decent shooting splits. And right, when we look at Bradley Beal, though he doesn't shoot as many threes, these percentage splits kind of look similar until you start getting into Bradley Beal's more recent seasons. But breaking out, they were averaging similar numbers, similar career trajectory, right? Brad Beal. 3-time All-Star, he should have more, but this is the thing. Is he All-Star this year? No, okay. Right? Averaged 30 twice, but when they broke out, right? 23, 22 point per game score. And after his burst of 30, back to 23, and this year 18. But that's why I say his most recent seasons, right? He started getting hyper efficient on us. And I think that's kind of pivotal to show why I think offensively there's a slight edge for Bradley Beal. But the reason why Bradley Beal is not on the same level as Paul George is the defensive side of the ball. And everybody already knew this, but I'm just saying. That defensive side of the ball is crucial because it's Bradley Beal's size and height limits him that way, or it's just the effort. Because to me, he has all the capabilities, even if you're listed at 6'3", 6'4". Dwayne Wade was 6'3" and 6'4", and he's the best shot blocking guard in NBA history. With the length and athleticism Bradley Beal has, he should be able to play the defensive side of the basketball, at least effective enough for him to be an all-defensive player once. Right, but with Paul George, that size, athleticism, and that's where it kicks in my opinion. Right? That's why it's not even close. Right? Because again, even the rebounding and assist numbers are pretty close. But like just that defensive aspect, that's what made him an all-NBA performer 6 times and Bradley Beal 3. That's why when I'm looking at and listening to the conversation, it more so just seemed like they're in the headspace of their offensive capabilities. And when you're thinking like that, there isn't much that Bradley Beal can't do. It's just that when you talk about the totality of their games, PG is doing the same thing Bradley's doing at a slightly less efficient clip, but giving you way more defensively. And you can interchange him in the different positions. Even though Bradley Beal showed he was the first in scoring, there are certain positions you just can't put him in, right? Paul George can play like Paul George on almost everybody because of his ability, his frame, his size, his footwork, his ball handling capabilities, his finesse around the rim, and even ability to punch at the rim. It allows him to be able to play like himself. If Anthony Davis is guarding him, or if Ish Smith is guarding him, he's going to be able to do the same exact thing. The tween cross, has he punch stop, might come off a screen and shoot, and then be downhill, probably on AD, but it can be downhill on Ish Smith, right? Bradley Beal, even though, yes, he can still dance with you, if you put Anthony Davis on Bradley Beal, I don't know how. He has to stick to a certain move set, whereas Paul George can still catch it on the mid post, catch it on the block. He can still bump, spin, fade. He can still dribble, bump him, reverse. Like, he can still do all of those things that make him Paul George. Whereas Bradley Beal, he can dance with him, but it's a certain extent to it, right? Even Jimmy Butler witnessed the issues with Anthony Davis during that finals run. They put AD on him and it gave him some fits. I'm not gonna lie. They put AD on Westbrook that series and they gave the Rockets fits. So my point is that versatility offensively and that versatility and ability defensively is what makes Paul George the better player. And if we're talking about tiers, Paul George is right on that realm of superstar where he was in there and he's just outside of it. When Bradley Beal was not superstar level. So transitioning, moving forward. This is the kind of same thing that I have to say when we're talking about the greatest of all time. Your ability to be versatile, your ability to play both sides of the basketball, your ability to still be dominant when you're playing both sides of the basketball are crucial elements in deciding who is the greatest player to ever play the game. Now, I say this because recently Kevin Durant has came out and spoken about why can't he be the GOAT and that he achieved the accomplishments. What hasn't he been able to achieve? And he achieved all the accomplishments there is to achieve in basketball. So why can't he be the GOAT? And that means Moses Malone has a GOAT case. And I like Moses Malone. But he ain't no GOAT. 3-time MVP. Took the Sixers to the finals. 4-4-4. Famous. But he ain't no GOAT. But he accomplished everything there is to achieve in the game of basketball. You know what I'm saying? And if we're going to be honest, there's a lot of guys you can put ahead of Kevin Durant. Now, like I said before, just like that same thing that was carrying, I think, the conversation of Paul George and Bradley Beal is the same thing that you would have to do for Kevin Durant in this case. Like, you would have to be thinking of the offensive capabilities of the players. And when you say, what hasn't he done and what is it that he can't do? It's a lot of things he can't do, right? It's a decent amount of things he haven't done. Things that I just enumerated in particular is that defensive side of the basketball. I'm not assuming Mr. Kevin Durant's grown since he's been in the NBA, but he was listed at 6'9". However, recently, in recent history, his height was measured. He was 6'10" and a half this whole time. So that's man been almost 6'11", running a 3. Able to dribble like a guard, right? Nimble on his feet, right? 7'6" wingspan, right? And it took him 10, 11 seasons to be an above average defensive player? Right. Because that makes sense. It doesn't. Also, when you say Kevin Durant dribbles like a guard, that means it's similar, but he doesn't dribble equally to a guard. What I mean is, the reason why I believe, what I've witnessed, Kevin Durant struggle with is these gritty defenses where they throw a smaller defender or shorter defender than him at him. And he'll get caught up in trying to dance and play like he's a shooting guard. And whenever Kevin Durant plays like a shooting guard, that's when he is playing in the cards of the defense. The same thing with Karl Anthony Towns. When I was watching Memphis and the Grizzlies, not the Memphis and the Grizzlies, but Memphis and the Timberwolves play each other in the playoffs. I want to say in 2022, the year Ja and Steph were going at it in the conference finals. The year that Steph won the ring. Right, Memphis was struggling with the Timberwolves because the Timberwolves could beat them. Like, Timberwolves, to me, were the better team in that series. You had the better big. You had Pat Bev, and you had Anthony Edwards in your backcourt. And I think Mike Conley was there, too. Right? Was he in? Yeah, he's in Minnesota right now. All right, you had Mike Conley. No, not that year. Not that year. I'm tripping. But they had Pat Bev and Anthony Edwards. Oh, and D'Angelo Russell. That lefty was there. Right? All on the roster. And you're watching that series, and I watch Karl Anthony Towns score 33 points. Then he comes back and he gets 6. And we don't even gotta guess. Because I could be wrong. You can just look it up right here. Right? 2022, he was an all-star. Minnesota was the 7th seed. They had Patrick Beverly. Let me click this. Right? Playoffs, series. Lost to the Grizzlies in 6. Right? Shouldn't have lost to them in 6. Multiple games they could have won. Right? Whereas Karl Anthony Towns. Guess he wasn't getting buckets like I thought. Let's see. The final. Alright. Cat had 29 at 13 going crazy. And had 36, right? Let's see. Game 2. Right? Comes back. Gives you 15. 15 and 11. On 7 field goal attempts. Yikes. All right, next game. He comes back. That's Ja Morant. And he gives you 8. Jesus. What's happening? Right? Let's look at the turnovers. He has 4 turnovers. I wonder what's happening. I'll explain in a second. All right, next game. And they won this game. Right. Yep, here it is. Had 33 after just having an 8-point game. 33. Came back in the closeout game. Not the closeout. But it was game 5. Oh, he gave you 28. Okay, I was tripping. He did have that single-digit game, but I was tripping. Right. 33, 28. Comes back, give you 18, 6 and 19 from the field. 4 assists, not playing like the dominant center he was supposed to be the whole series. And part of the scheme that limited his ability and why he dropped 8 points and why he was inefficient in Game 6 is the same thing that occurs with Kevin Durant. Right? Karl Anthony Towns prides himself on being a shooting big, and he says he's the best shooting big in NBA history. Which means his 7 foot behind is standing behind the 3-point arc, waiting to be passed the ball so he can jab step into a 3, right? And it looks good when you hit. But what is happening when you miss? Also, if you're succeeding, what counters can be thrown at you to cause you to start failing? And with Karl Anthony Towns, when he only had 8, when he only had 18, when he only had 19 or something like that, only getting 7 attempts up, only getting 6 attempts up, what they started doing was just doubling him on the 3-point line. And his turnovers were coming from charges. Because he's not a guard. He can play like a guard. Right? But once you start trying to ISO, tween, behind, jab, a guard, and you're a big, that's when you're going to start failing. Because at that point, I would rather you back him down from the 3-point line. But as you try to rip through and do the nice moves you work on, and that other defender comes to double, right? You can't stop that 7 foot, 245, 235 frame, right? You're going to run that guy over because now you have to do what a guard does and quickly change directions, something in which is physically, as in not just physically, as in you're incapable because you play like a guard. No, physics doesn't allow you to do that. You know what I'm saying? Even Victor Wembanyama will struggle with that because he's so tall. Your feet are so big. Pause. Right? And what I'm saying is, when you're playing on the perimeter, playing with your guard-like skills, part of that is squeezing into tight spaces, splitting double teams, being able to dribble the ball, get very low with the ball, change the cadence, change the speeds, change the patterns. I would know. I'm a small guard. And for a big, that is just not something you're suited for because you're already high off the ground and you got to get low. When me standing up is already low enough, you're dribbling the ball right at my face. So when I'm in a defensive position and I'm watching you move, it's like you're moving in slow motion. Literally, the entire movement of you dribbling and picking it back up is in slow motion. And in the same vein, that's how the Memphis Grizzlies, when they played against OKC, structured their defense. They were physical with him, right? And they made him turn the ball over like which you had in Tony Allen, right? Now, I say that because when Boston swept Kevin Durant and Brooklyn Nets after he came off of a year where he was torching the Bucks, right? How was that even possible? They implemented the same kind of strategies that Memphis Grizzlies did. And it was looking like Kevin Durant couldn't even put the ball on the ground. That's how bad it looked. You know what I'm saying? And it's not because all of a sudden the pressure was too much. No, they were hitting him. You just, again, he's playing like a shooting guard. That is when he struggles. That's the same. The Clippers put Chris Paul on Kevin Durant and they cost him issues. In 2014, I want to say, when the Clippers played him. Before Chris Paul choked. I got one of my favorite point guards ever. But they put Chris Paul on Kevin Durant because he's playing like a 2. When Kevin Durant's going 10 for 33 against the Warriors, he's playing like a 2. Why are so many of your attempts coming from 18 feet, 20 feet, 23 feet, 25 feet, 28 feet? Why are you trying to ISO on the top of the key dribbling, hang dribble, trying to cross and get a screen. The reason why you're playing like a guard and not as a guard is because you're not a guard, right? When Kevin Durant started elevating his game and started changing, and even Kobe Bryant is explaining it, right? As he's fixing the weaknesses of his game, part of the reason why Kobe was able to lock him down is because he didn't have a post game for him. And as he started fine tuning, and you can't just send him left, you can't just send him to the right side because he has to shoot like this, as Kobe explained. You can't just use your strength and physicality on him anymore because he can just put his back to you and shoot over the top from 15 feet, which he's good at shooting from now, right? Post fade, he can get the guards down low. He wasn't doing that earlier in his career. And if he wasn't using it to the way he should because he kept falling back into the guard-like play style, which is fine. That's why he's Kevin Durant. But when dealing with strong guards, stronger players, it was a weakness for him. And typically those players would be shorter than him. So he needed to be able to score in almost any situation. And as he's got better, and better, now it's like you can't stop him. He's shooting 60% from the mid-range. He just gained Alex Caruso and Patrick Williams, I want to say, from the elbow dang there. Catch it off the ball, 1, 2, jump, pump, right? He's not trying to dance, is what I'm saying. And with Kevin Durant, you talking about his go case and him having that kind of weakness, especially when it's crunch time, is crucial because you're talking about what can he do. And that's something he can't do. When you're getting screens, part of utilizing the screen effectively in closing time is being able to beat the blitz. Because when they blitzed KD, I think the Boston was doing that, blitzing KD, he was turning the ball over. You can't split the screen the way you want at 7 feet because you're 7 feet. You can't move around the court the way you want because you have a size 16 shoe. But it's just not possible. But your feet just too big. Your body is just too big for you to be trying to do all of that, right? Part of how Boston was able to slow him down was when he got rid of the basketball and he's trying to move off ball. They're bumping him in the process. Where if he was smaller, he'd be able to squeeze in smaller crevices. He'd be able to move faster around the court, and he'd be able to avoid. He's not Steph Curry. Okay, Steph Curry's a small guard. You see how effective he is moving off the basketball, right? And even then, they used to bother him a bit with the grabbing, but he put on that muscle, and then it's not as much of a problem. But Kevin Durant, even though he's put on weight, it's still a problem because you just can't maneuver through those spaces the way you want to. So it's like you put those things together, you're talking about what can't he do? That's one example, and that's off of him just being a dominant offensive player. And I watch a lot of film of Kevin Durant. Y'all have seen in the videos that I have. There's a lot of Kevin Durant now in that mid-post work. I have a whole KD playlist as well. So I watch a lot of Kevin Durant. So I'm not just speaking from a person who's not studying his game. Part of what makes him who he is that perimeter style, but sometimes you just fall in love with it. Now, he shot 10 for 33 against the Mavericks in 2016, and that was foreshadowing. Man, we can look it up, bro. When he beat the Mavericks 4-1, right? And you got Stephen A. and all of them talking about how this is not going to be able to continue over the course of that playoff run. But when they collapsed 3-1, that's what was happening. He was going 10 for 33, 10 for 30, 10 for 29, 11 for 35, some crazy numbers. You know what I'm saying? And we oh, man, this won't happen again. We go. Series stats. All right, smoked them. I think it's that 84-85 game where they lost. Right? And he went 10 for 33. 21. No, he's 7 for 33. I'm gassing it. You know what I'm saying? It's exploiting that same thing. The only reason why he's able to do this is because he's not going to the rim. because he's shooting. Like, he's shooting. You know what I mean? And again, to his, um, not to his credit, but to take some pressure off of it, the spacing for that Oklahoma team was horrible. He was the spacer. You know what I'm saying? Because couldn't nobody else shoot on that floor. Right? And I think that was it. 11 for 25 isn't too bad. You know what I'm saying? But I think that was the rest of the bad shooting for that series. 10 for 20. I know. They was in him. They was in him. If we didn't have Westbrook, he would have lost. Man, and that didn't win his best series. Won his best series. All right, let me see if I can exit off here. I want to see them versus the Spurs next game. Right. Close out. We'll just see 10 for. There you go, 10 for 30 right there. You know, it's the same concept. I think they pulled this game out, though. You know what I'm saying? Jesus Christ. Right? 11 for 18, good game. You know, he lost. We don't care about the L's, though. Right? 10 for 16, 10 for 15, whatever, that's a dub. Eight for 24. Jesus Christ, bro. Did I know he was performing that bad? All right, and and I'm just looking at the shots just because I think you can see, you can see the shot charts too. So we can look at that in a second. Went off for 40 free throws, saving his butt because he went 12 for 31, bro. 12 for 31. And 10 for 31 again. Okay, so I'm not just making these stats up. Okay, like it's typically that 10 for 33, 10 for 30 game. 11 for 30, 7 for 33 was insane. Well, like looking at the shots, right? I think I can specify for, yeah, Kevin Durant, right? Look at the shot chart, bruh. All right, 15 feet is around here. Fourth. Fourth one, 5 for 16. Hey, boy. Jesus. He ain't shoot that many times. But my brother right here. Literally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. All right. 13 of his shots. All right. 14, maybe 15 of his shots. And if you want to count these as jumpers, okay. But like, he just couldn't finish around the rim either. But I think that might have been due to fatigue and just that physicality that I stated before. But he's living around the perimeter as a 7-footer, bro. Like, it should be, all right, 13, 14 shots here, 7 shots here. You know what I mean? Like, it should not be this many shot attempts coming from around the arc when you got a smaller guy. At least, like, he needs to be here for Kevin Durant, and that's what he does when as he gets older, and you have a smaller guard on him. If you put a Drew Holiday on him now, or Pat Bev, he's taking it mid post. That's especially what he was doing when he got to go to state. You take it mid post, you face up, shoot over the top because you know the big is sitting here waiting for you, right? Or even short baseline, mid post, 1-2 baseline fade, buck, right? But we'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Jesus Christ. Oh, I had some technical difficulties. Had to fix. I'm back. But thing was just Kevin Durant, when you talking about being the GOAT, there's a lot of weaknesses that are there and things that you can say he can't do. The other thing that I was going to bring up was the fact that he is not a very good defender. Or hasn't been for the majority of his career. And with a lot of the GOAT claims, like at least I would say if he could make an all defensive team, like two of them, in the next 4 seasons, and get some more rings where he didn't have to do the most to get them, like joining Golden State, and he proves he can win outside of Golden State. And you want to say he's the GOAT? I'm not going to say nothing about it because that's hard to do at the age of 38, 39, make an all defensive team as technically a perimeter slash post player, right? And still average your same 30. You're doing what Jordan did. You're doing what Kobe did. You're doing what I want to say Kareem did. All right, so I think Wilt Chamberlain has made all defensive teams if that was a thing for him. Yeah, he only made two all defensive teams, but boy, all defense is all defense, man. Like, you don't gotta make a crazy amount, but you gotta make some because defense is part of the game. You see, Dr. J. I'll do it like this. See, he made at least one, bro. He made at least one. That's all you can ask for, bro. At least you like make one. You ain't done everything. All right, you ain't been an assist champion. You ain't been a block champion. You know what I'm saying? You haven't led the league in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage. You know what I'm saying? Like you just led the league in scoring. You know what I'm saying? You ain't led the league in assists. You know what I'm saying? You led the league in steals. You know what I'm saying? Talking about what can't you do? You ain't led the league in steals. This is not minuscule stuff because even Allen Iverson, who's didn't even play defense, as he says, still was averaging like 2.5 steals. Steph Curry, 1.9 steals, 2 steals. You know what I'm saying? Like, it can be done. You don't got to be a crazy athlete or strong defensively to do that, but you haven't done these things. Like, there's a lot more room for you to do. Talking about like what haven't you accomplished? Like, you haven't led a team to the finals, your team to the finals. You joined one. You know what I'm saying? You betrayed your own code to get that ring, which is fine. You know what I'm saying? Um, like you haven't figured out how to beat physical defense yet, because Boston was able to use that in recent history against you. So, you know what I'm saying? You haven't figured out that balance like Giannis has between strength and athleticism, and then while still maintaining your skill. Now, Giannis' shot has fallen off, but like to me, I just want, if anything, I just want to see you make an all defensive team. Make all defensive team, win. You know what I'm saying? Because you're talking about being the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have you led the league in rebounds, bro? Like, have you averaged 10 rebounds a game, 15, 13, 12 rebounds a game, 11 rebounds a game? You 6'11", right? You 6'11". You know what I'm saying? So, nah, man. When you talking about GOAT, we talking about greatest of all time, right? And outside of injury, bro, you just outside of that, outside of injury and your offensive ability, you just haven't shown yourself to be the greatest of all time. Like You haven't shown yourself to be in the conversation to GOAT. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. You have exploitable weaknesses that cost your teams W's. That's why you couldn't get past. You couldn't get past. You know what I'm saying? Your perimeter game. Like, outside of the Warriors, when they say a jump shooting team couldn't win a championship, like, you were proving that to be true. Because you're shooting jumpers and you're doing what the defense wants you to do. Right? Like, that balance you have right now, you didn't have for most of your career. That mid-range jumper that you have right now wasn't like that for a lot of your career. And the only time you was hyper efficient for real, like in the beginning, became even more hyper efficient was when you went to Golden State and you had a juggernaut of a team. So we can't fairly judge you off a juggernaut of a team. Talent wise, you could be the GOAT. What you've done with that talent takes you out of that GOAT conversation, bro. There's no way around that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't express that no better. I mean, he only got one MVP, which granted, I don't put Kobe as my GOAT, but he only has one MVP. But every other candidate for GOAT got at least two. And heck, the ones who really are candidates got three. Actually, they got five. 4 and 5 respectively. You know what I'm saying? So Bill Russell got multiple. Like I said, Moses Malone got multiple. Larry Bird had multiple. Magic Johnson got multiple. These are the people in the Kareem got 6 or 5, 6 of them, I think. Like, these people in these GOAT conversations you want to be with, like they have done this thing. But like there's no way that resume of yours stacks up to make you the GOAT. There's no way, bro. And I went through the breakdown of your offensive game, bro. Like, and that's your strongest case. Like, your strongest case is saying you're the greatest offensive player to play the game. But you can't say that because when it's your time to be the greatest offensive player, you're not the greatest offensive player the game has ever seen. Right? In the regular season, maybe. Right? But when it comes down to it, bro, outside of that stacked roster, you ain't been able to win with what you do. Your ability, your way, the way you play the game, the way you decide to play the game has not led in the big one. It wins games. It looks good. It sells tickets. And it makes whoever team you're on, a contender. But whether it's the mentality, capacity, mental capacity for what's happening in these high leverage moments, or whatever the case may be, I'm not saying you. I'm talking about how much pressure you can take in. When I say mental capacity, I just don't know if you got it, bro. Like, man, I just don't know. I know you don't got it because you've shown it, right? So, yeah, that whole GOAT combo. Like, if I was to make a conversation for you, because you can make conversation. Whoever is great, you can make a conversation for that. It would have to just be based purely off of your offensive gifts and your ability to play off the ball at 6'10" and play on ball at 6'10". Then you gotta point out how you performed at Golden State. But like, I'll be really splitting hairs, and I wouldn't be able to make a winning argument. Just an argument for the sake of argument. So, with that being said, Of course, I'll just leave off with my top 10 in no order. There will be some biases, but I'll try to be as objective as possible. I think Michael Jordan is number one. Number two gets tricky, so I'm glad I said no order, but LeBron James in the top 10. Magic's in the top 10. Kobe's top 10. Timmy's top 10. Who else? Kareem's top 10 of individual talent. Yep. Jesus. Going in history. All the players that played the game. Kobe, Timmy, Kareem, MJ, Magic. That's 5. And then that second 5 get real hard. But if I gotta choose, right? Shaq, top 10 for me. And I think this is where it might get biased, because after that we'll have to go with favorites, but KD not in there because you got Larry Bird. KD, I would say KD's individually better than Bird, but you know what I'm saying? I think KG's above Kevin Durant. Barkley, maybe. Malone, maybe. Hakeem Olajuwon for sure. He might even be in my top 10. Isaiah Thomas, that's the bias for me. But I would pick him over Kevin Durant. I think he's above him. You know, and then it's probably Dr. J. Yeah, I can't do the doc. But if you must put Labor in there, then you can't. But I think KD might be top 20 all time or top 30. But when you're talking about the top 10, I don't think he's in there. And I will have to fully write out my list just so I can see. But that's just off the top of the dome. You know what I'm saying? And I'm probably forgetting people. But I know Hakeem, I'm having him above him. You can make an argument that Giannis is above him. That's the crazy part. That is the crazy part. You can also make an argument that Kawhi Leonard's above him. That's also the crazy part. So, I'm saying, I gotta make sure. I gotta go back and look. But yeah, I know I named more than 10 people that's above Kevin Durant. So, with that being said, it's been the It's Only Basketball Podcast. Thank y'all for being here, listening, enjoying the banter, enjoying the mindset, the frame. But until next time, peace.